Your body can sense the future. That sounds impossible, but I'll prove it to you. But before I show you, I want you to think about something. Have you ever walked down a street at night and for no clear reason crossed to the other side? Or you sit down at a restaurant and something tells you to leave? Or you meet someone new and within seconds, before they even say anything, you get a bad feeling? If someone asks you why, you could not explain it. You had no evidence, but your body made a decision and you followed it. And sometimes when you look back, you realize the feeling was right. In the 1990s, researcher Dean Radin had volunteers sit in front of a computer, and then he tracked heart rate, brain activity, and skin response. He told them to simply wait. The computer would flash an image after a short pause. Some images were calm, like a landscape or a cup of tea. Others were violent or disturbing. The thing is, nobody knew which image was coming next. Not the participants and not the researchers. The computer picked each image at random in real time. And something kept showing up in the data, something that really didn't make sense. Right before the disturbing image appeared, the body reacted. Participants' heart rates changed and brain activity jumped. Now, let me repeat that. Their bodies reacted not after the image hit the screen and they saw it, but before. Seconds before. As if the body already knew what was coming, even though no one in the room could possibly know. Radin ran the experiment again and again, same result. Other researchers tried in their own labs with their own participants, same result. A meta-analysis of 26 studies across 3 decades found the same pattern over and over, and put the odds of all of this being pure coincidence at 1 in 1 trillion. To put that into perspective, that is like flipping a coin and landing heads 40 times in a row. So this is not just a feeling, there is something real happening here, and in this video, we are going to trace its origins. When we say gut feeling, a lot of us think it's a figure of speech, a casual way of saying, I have a hunch. But the phrase carries a biological truth. Your gut contains over 200 million neurons. That is more than your spinal cord. Scientists call it the second brain. And it communicates directly with your actual brain via a long nerve called the vagus nerve, forming what researchers call the gut-brain axis. It is not a one-way signal, it is a bi-directional conversation. Messages travel up from the gut and down from the brain, back and forth, all day long, creating a feedback loop that shapes how you feel, both in your body and in your emotions. And the community of bacteria living in your gut, roughly 38 trillion of them, produces chemicals that directly change how your brain works. About 90% of your body's serotonin, a chemical that controls mood, is made not in your head, but in your gut. In animal studies, when researchers change the balance of the gut bacteria, the animals change too. Timid mice become bold, and bold mice can become anxious. The chemistry of the gut reshapes the chemistry of the mind. So when you feel butterflies before a big decision, or that sinking feeling in your stomach when something seems wrong, that is one of the oldest communication systems in the human body at work. I spoke to psychologist and intuition researcher Emma Sepala, who told me that intuition is a fast, instinctive form of intelligence that operates separately from our conscious thoughts. Separately, that word matters. It means there's a layer of knowing that does not wait for you to think. It acts on its own, and it seems that your gut is part of that system. But the gut is only half the story, because your brain is doing something just as remarkable, and it is doing it without telling you. Neuroscience shows that before you can consciously notice or recall something, your brain has already done the work. What do I mean? The limbic system, one of the oldest parts of the brain, sorts through incoming experience at incredible speed. It pulls out what matters and builds a rough picture of what is going on. It's basically an implicit level where general meaning is not fully articulated into conscious access. It's somewhat primal. In other words, your brain reaches a conclusion before you even know there was a question. And this aligns with a psychological concept called Gestalt. It describes the brain's tendency to see whole patterns rather than separate parts and to fill in missing information to complete a picture. Your brain is constantly doing this, building meaning out of fragments. An everyday example might be a hiring manager sitting down with a candidate. The resume is clean, the interview answers are passable, everything seems to check out on paper. But the manager walks away with a quiet discomfort, a feeling that something was off. And a few days later, it clicks. The manager recalls that the candidate broke eye contact every time he spoke about a past job. His words said one thing, but his face said another. They're small signals, but the manager's conscious mind missed them in real time. But the brain caught everything, assembled them into a warning, and then delivered it as a feeling. This is all backed up by neuroscience. The right hemisphere of the brain is really good at spotting patterns and noticing things that don't fit, even if we're not aware of it. The hippocampus compares what we see now with past experiences, while the orbitofrontal cortex is able to integrate emotional memories with sensory input. The result appears as a feeling rather than a thought, a sort of unconscious gestalt. This kind of rapid, below-the-surface processing shows up everywhere. Research shows that when chess grandmasters are just given 5 seconds to evaluate a board, they can still make accurate calls. Not because they calculated every move, but because thousands and thousands of hours of play built a mental library of patterns. Doctors do the same, so do firefighters and soldiers. If you ask them how they did a certain thing, they might just tell you, "I just knew." There's a model for how this works. It is called predictive processing. The idea is that your brain does not just sit there and wait for information to arrive. It's not a purely reactive organ. It actively predicts what it expects to see based on everything it has learned. And when reality does not match the prediction, when something breaks the pattern, that mismatch surfaces as a feeling, a hunch, a question mark, or a tingle. So one way to understand intuition is this. Your brain's pattern recognition system works faster than your conscious mind. It reaches the answer first and sends you a feeling while your thinking catches up. But not everyone thinks that is a full picture. Hey, quick pause. This channel is all about upgrading your life holistically, mind, body, and inner world. So I'm thrilled to introduce today's sponsor, Shenyun Performing Arts. Shenyun is the world's premier classical Chinese dance company. Their mission is to revive 5,000 years of Chinese history through dance and music. I've personally watched the show for several years now, and now I try to go every single year. Why? Well, they have impressive Chinese dance built around stories like Journey to the West, The Monkey King, and tales of loyalty and resilience. But also, for someone like me who loves classical music, they have a live orchestra that blends Western and traditional Chinese instruments together. And the sound is super unique. I've never heard anything like it. And the show is anything but boring. They have an animated backdrop that interacts with the dancers in real time. So it feels like a movie, a live show, and a history lesson all combined. And almost without realizing it, you walk out having learned a ton about Chinese history and culture, but also, I would say, you feel truly uplifted. Shenyun is on tour right now for its 20th anniversary. They have 8 companies touring to like 200 cities worldwide. New York City at Lincoln Center is coming up soon, and there's a very good chance they're near you. And I have good news. They've given you, our viewers, a code to waive the booking fee. So, if you've ever been curious about the show, want to experience a different culture, or simply be entertained, this is your chance. Use the code MAKAI26 at checkout. Click the link in the description, find your city, and get your tickets. Again, that's code MAKAI26 at checkout. Okay, back to the show. Let's come back to Dean Radin's experiment. The reason it's so mysterious is that the body reacted before the image appeared. There was nothing to react to and technically nothing to predict. The computer had not shown the image yet, and when it did, it was completely random. There was no pattern to recognize and no cue to pick up on. Julia Mossbridge, a neuroscientist at Northwestern University, led the meta-analysis I mentioned earlier. She analyzed 26 studies from labs around the world and found that human bodies, through heart rate, skin response, and brainwaves, could detect a future emotional event versus a future neutral one up to 10 seconds before it happened. Mossbridge argues that precognition is strongly backed by statistics. It's just a matter of proving what the mechanism could be. Now, to be fair, this is not precognition in the dramatic sense. Nobody is seeing visions of the future through a crystal ball. The effect is very subtle and the measurements are small, but they are consistent across independent labs and researchers, and they do pass the standard test for statistical significance. And guess what? The military knows this too. The US Office of Naval Research has invested real resources into what they call the Spidey sense. I am not kidding, that is what they call it. The initiative is based partly on documented cases of soldiers who survived in the field because they acted on a feeling they could not explain. For example, Marines who get a feeling not to go a certain way, only to find out that there was an explosive at the exact same place. In 1995, the CIA even declassified its own research into precognition. If you're interested in the subject, just let me know and I can cover that in the future. I spoke with Eric Wargo, a researcher who has spent years exploring this topic. He said we should stop calling intuition a sixth sense. He calls it the first sense, possibly one of the earliest guidance systems in any living creature. His hypothesis is that structures inside the brain, called microtubules, might allow information to travel not only forward in time, but also backward. So he calls intuition and precognition memories from the future. And whether or not you accept the quantum explanation, the data from those experiments is hard to dismiss completely. Something is happening. There is much more going on than what current neuroscience can explain. So where does all of this leave us? Can we actually wield intuition? Well, the researchers I spoke with and the literature I read generally agree on three things. First, intuition can be trained. Emma Sepala, the intuition researcher, told me that for decades we have built our education systems around logic and analysis, neglecting the intuitive side almost entirely. Her view is that intuition is a cognitive faculty, and like any faculty, it responds to practice. And there are initiatives out there working on developing this intuition. A little while ago, I was invited to a conference of the Institute of Absolute Intelligence, which trains people, especially children, to cultivate their intuition. They gave a little demo and I was honestly stunned. Children who were completely blindfolded, I know because I was there and I tested the blindfold, were able to seamlessly read serial numbers on random dollar bills, play tic-tac-toe, and Uno completely through their intuition. These children have even been able to find missing people through dialing into their intuitive knowing. I am not associated with the organization in any way, but the experience really left an impression on me. With the right training, including meditation, we can cultivate this faculty. This takes me to point number 2. The starting point for intuition is to pay close attention to your thoughts and everything around you. Nowadays, we are so distracted that we may not even notice intuitive feelings, even if they come. And third, and this one matters the most, intuition needs discernment. Logic and feeling should coexist. But without self-awareness, you cannot tell the difference between a real intuitive signal and plain fear, personal bias, or wishful thinking. The two can feel the same in your body. So learning to separate them takes honest self-reflection. Interestingly, research from decision-making science confirms this, showing that professionals get the best outcomes when they combine rational analysis with intuitive judgment. Neither one is enough on its own. And on a personal level, when making complex decisions, going with your gut actually might be the best choice. A 2011 study shows that when people face complex decisions, such as choosing a home to buy or making major life choices, those who focus on their feelings rather than painstakingly analyzing every detail often make better decisions, and perhaps more importantly, are more satisfied with the outcome. We live in a culture that incentivizes the explainable. If you cannot show your work, the answer doesn't count. And there is real value in that way of thinking. But there is also an entire layer of intelligence that does not show its work. It does not build an argument or present evidence. It just speaks quietly. And the truth is that we do not yet fully understand intuition. And honestly, that makes it way more interesting. So, the next time you get a gut feeling, one you can't justify, maybe don't ignore it, just go with it. If this video gave you something to think about, please subscribe. Every week, we explore the science of what makes us human and how we can live and thrive. Drop a comment and tell me, when was the last time you trusted your intuition? And were you right? I'll see you in the next one.